Thank you, everyone, for tuning in once again to another podcast episode of Her Inspired Mind podcast. So, today I want to talk about how you can turn your trials into triumphs. This is something that is very personal to me because I've been through a lot in life and I've shared a few stories with you, right? And sometimes I think and I reflect about all of the different trials that I've gone through and how now I can celebrate the fact that I didn't stay stuck in those trials, but now I am triumphant because now I am able to help other people to get over depression, get over anxiety. I'm able to speak life into others because I understand their pain and their suffering because I firsthand went through those trials. Even if they weren't exactly the same, I know what it feels like to feel pain, to feel suffering, to feel hopeless, to feel helpless at times. Um, even what it is to feel like you can't take anymore to the point where you think about ending your life, about hurting yourself. And so, if you're in a space right now where you're going through some trials and you're going through some very difficult situations, I hope that you find some encouragement and hope throughout this episode. So, the first thing I want to share with you is, even though you're going through a trial right now, the same way that it's not always cloudy, the same way that a storm doesn't last forever, is the same way that whatever trials and struggles that you're going through, they're not going to last forever. And if you're feeling drained and exhausted and you're even questioning how you can even move forward in life, I want to encourage you that you're not alone, first of all, and that there is hope and that there is a point and a purpose for the things that you're going through. It's not that God wants to punish you, but He's allowing you to go through the situations that you're going through because they're going to refine you and they're going to allow you to become that person that He created you to be. It could be that later on down the road, after you heal and you survive and you become empowered through what you're currently going through, that you're going to be able to help other people get through those things as well. I remember there was a time where I was going through a lot, and I think I had just had my second miscarriage. And I remember that during that time, I got really angry with God. And I remember just sitting in my car and I just started like crying and breaking down and just asking God, like, why? Like all my other friends, they're getting pregnant, they're having more babies. And here I am trying to have another child, and I end up losing another child. And then I had people like telling me, well, at least you have one, you know, with good intentions, but that's not what I wanted to hear. Like, I wanted that baby. And so during that time, I just got really angry with God. And I detached from him. I was just angry in general. And I just started to just live my life on my terms, for a less of a better term. But I got lost and I got lost for many years. And I started to do things that I probably would have never imagined that I would have done. I lost myself during that time. And it got to the point where I didn't even know who I was anymore. And I started to try to numb the pain by looking for love in ways that I shouldn't have, in alcohol, in going out and having quote unquote fun, which at the moment I was having fun. But then when that fun was over, I felt even more empty and more sad and more depressed. And it was just a really downward spiral for me. And then I just hit a breaking point. And so once I hit that breaking point, one thing I realized was that what I was doing wasn't bringing me real joy in my life and that I had to do something different. And I feel like everybody gets to that point, right? Sometimes it takes us going and getting to that breaking point ourselves, regardless of what anyone is telling us, whatever anyone is suggesting us to do. Because to be realistic, at the end of the day, everybody's just going to do what they want to do, right? But because of being afraid of being judged and condemned and feeling like I couldn't talk to nobody, I was just living this secret life that nobody even knew about. And that was hard. It was very heavy, very lonely. And there's parts of the during that time that I to this day I can't even remember. And in a way, it's kind of good because I sometimes think back to that time and I don't even know who that woman is anymore because I'm no longer her, right? And so that was a very difficult time in my life. And it didn't end there. Like more things kept happening and more things kept piling up, even when I was trying to change my life around for the better. Things were still difficult. So when you're in the valley, you could call it the valley of despair. You know, sometimes you don't see an end to the things that you're going through. But I'm here to let you know that there is an end date to the struggle. There is an end date to the suffering. But the only way that you'll be able to see the other side of that and to be triumphant is by number one, surrendering your life to God. And number two, by not giving up. You have to start to renewing your mind. And that's why I emphasize so much on doing affirmations, reading books that are going to put more good into your mind. Start to evaluate the relationships that you have in your life and to start to think about what people you have in your life or in your circle and if they're actually benefiting you or if they're pulling you back. Even though it might be hard to sometimes break those relationships, they're essential for you to be able to live out a purposeful life. And so the things that you're going through or that you have gone through in life, you're going to be able to declare how you have been able to overcome those obstacles and those things that were sent your way to break you down and tear you down. And you're going to be able to just transform them into something more positive. I have a friend that unfortunately a few years ago, she lost her son in a motorcycle accident. And this is just an example of how sometimes people go through things. You can either go to one or two ways. You can either sit in that pain and that suffering and continue to replay it over and over and over again and allow it to bring you down, or you could be a living testimony and give honor and glory, like in this situation, to the person who passed away. And so she lost her son in a deadly motorcycle accident. And now she's running, I bet by now it's a multi-million-dollar company. And her driving force has been her son, the legacy that she's living right now. She's living for her son that passed away. And that's her driving force. That's her testimony. Even though she still has the pain of losing her son and she misses him every single day, she does it to give him the honor that even though he lost his life, she's not going to allow her life to waste, but instead to honor him, to live fully. And so, you know, it's important. Like we can sit and we can dwell on the things that we are going through the things that we've lost, the people that we've lost, because I tell you what, for me, I've lost about 4 or 5 people since 2015. From my dad to my mentor to my niece to my nephew to miscarriages, to losing relationships, to being shunned from the church that I was part of. I mean, I literally had to start my life all over again. But look at what I'm doing now. I have a podcast. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm coaching women and teenage girls one-on-one. And the reason why I've been able to be triumphant through this is because of the things that I've gone through in the past and because I didn't give up. Were there many times that I felt like giving up? Yes. Anybody who knows me will tell you, like, I've been like, I'm done. Even with my business, like, there's been moments where, like, I'm not going to do this more. I can't do it. But that lasts like for a day, and then the next day I'm back at it because my purpose pulls me and it drives me. My children, my family, you know, the feedback that I get from people where they're like, Rebecca, like, thank you for inspiring. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for sharing. And then I'm thankful. I rejoice in the fact that I went through those things because I went through those things. Now I can connect more with people and I can help them better because I know firsthand what it feels like to feel pain, to feel suffering, to feel lonely, to feel lost and hopeless because I felt it firsthand. So when your purpose and your calling is so big, you might go through worse things in life. And I know it may seem unfair, but at the end of the day, you need to remember that we're not here for ourselves. God created us all with a purpose, and he knows what he's doing, and he never abandons us in our worst moments. He never just leaves us straggling. He's always there. As long as we ask for his help and we surrender to his will, he will help us get through, and he will build us up even stronger than we ever could imagine. So if you're listening to this, I want to encourage you that what you're going through is temporary. It's not forever. It's part of your calling. It's part of your purpose. And you're going to look back and you're going to reflect on this time that you're going through right now, and you're going to rejoice as well. It reminds me of a verse of the Bible. I can't remember exactly where it's at, but it talks about when we go through suffering and through trials, that there's joy. And I didn't get that before. Like, how am I going to rejoice through struggles? Like, there's nothing to be happy about when I'm going through struggles. And now I get it. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. I'm thankful that I went through all that I went through because now I can connect with people better. Now I can empathize better. Now I can help impact and change lives better as a living testimony. Because at the end of the day, it's all for the glory and honor of God. Because God can, he doesn't dwell with us here so everybody can see him physically every day, but he uses us as vessels so that we can shine his light into the world. And it glorifies him and it makes him happy. And he blesses us when we're obedient to the calling. So I hope that this was beneficial for you. I hope that it was encouraging. Please share it with someone who needs to hear it. We're going through a time in the world where a lot of people are suffering. I keep hearing over and over again that so many people are, and teens especially, struggling with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, suicidal attempts. And it's because there's this big cloud of oppression going on in the world, and people don't know how to deal. They don't know how to cope because they're trying to deal and cope by themselves or through substances or addictions. And they're not leaning into God, which is right there. My friend always tells me, God is a gentleman. He wants you to ask him for his help. He's not just going to bombard your house per se and be like, I'm here, I'm going to do what I do. No, he wants you to call on his name. The Bible says, knock and it shall be open. Ask and you will receive. So we need to be intentional and knowing that we can't do life on our own. We can't do it by ourselves. We need God in our lives. And so we need to trust that he knows what's best for us, and we need to trust that he will never abandon us or forsake us. So please share this with someone. Please share this episode on your Instagram stories, on your Facebook. I will be also sharing this in video form to my YouTube page, Rebecca Fillmore. So you can look me up. And if you don't yet, you can follow me on Instagram at Inspire Her Mindset. And I'm also on Facebook as Rebecca Fillmore. Please leave me a star rating and review so that this podcast can reach more and more people around the world, because people need hope and they need encouragement. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, and may God bless you.